What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off what the chart is showing and based off what the data is suggesting. I'm going to break down why on earth it is possible to see NIO push up just a little bit more before I do see a lot more downside coming for the markets. And I know you guys don't like to hear that. I know it makes people feel emotional and upset. I'm going to show you the reasoning as to why on earth I find this very likely and why I think next week we are going to see some very bearish price action for the markets. Now, before I break any of this down though, before I get into any details, I got to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed 6 free stocks, each worth up to $3,500. And you can always sell these 6 free stocks for cash and use that cash to buy some NIO shares for free in this limited time offer that ends in just 3 days. So please check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So when it comes to NIO, I talked about the fact that it is possible to see this thing push up just a little bit more, but I did warn you guys about how I do see some potential downside coming for the markets, as SPY is not looking the best as of right now as well. And I want to talk about why this is very important. So when it comes to the market, all right, we've seen the SPY make a very nice move. We've seen some very bullish price action. And what's happening is investors, left and right, investors are becoming more greedy. The fear and greed index went from being extremely fearful to now just the fearful side. It's getting very close to neutral. So people are actually getting excited. They're getting pumped up. And this is exactly what the market makers, the big institutions want out of retail and many investors out there, because it's a trick. They rally the market. They get people very excited. And then as people are just so excited, all of a sudden this big dump comes and it just scares investors. And I do see that happening. So why do I think that's going to happen? Well, looking at the SPY had a gap, right? All the way up at about, was that like 401 or so? So to me, it looks like the SPY does have a little bit more room for maybe a potential gap fill up here. And we should fill the gap. If we don't fill it, we're either going to get rejected off 400 or 401, 402, around there. So I'm seeing the SPY make a bullish move up there first, and then I see a rejection, and I think it's going to start coming down. And I think that the SPY is going to fill right this gap right here, down to that 382 level, and it might actually drop all the way down to that 378 level very, very soon. So I am seeing the SPY take a big hit over the next couple of days, and I want to show you why I think that. So first off, the chart is suggesting that there are times where we don't have to look at gaps, but this is one of those instances where we need to pay close attention to them, because I see that happening. And that's because next week we have the FOMC meeting. In fact, it's less than a week away. And you know what FOMC meetings mean. They mean that the Fed is going to announce their open market operations. They're going to talk about what they're going to do when it comes to policy changes. They're going to address inflation and things like that. So with that said, there's a lot of uncertainty about what the Fed is truly going to do. The markets have priced in a 75 basis point rate hike, right, already, but they haven't fully priced in that 100 basis point rate hike. So we could be surprised with 100, or it could be 75. Most likely it's going to be a 75 basis point hike. The Fed won't be extra aggressive. And I really think that that's most likely what's going to happen. But what I'm trying to say is that we don't know from the beginning. So as we approach these FOMC meetings, the market has a tendency of kind of dropping with them coming forward. We also have the GDP report the day after. So just a reminder, let me just make this clear. The 27th that's the second day of the FOMC meeting. That's when we're probably going to see a bit of a dip in the markets. Now, if the market doesn't dip going into this, it's probably going to dip after. And in addition to that, on the 28th, the next day, we have the GDP report. So if you don't know what a recession is by dictionary definition, it's often defined as 2 consecutive negative GDP quarters. Our first quarter of 2022 was a negative GDP report. The second one is coming out on next week, I think on Thursday. So it's the day after this. And if it comes out as negative, the market's going to go crazy and talk about, oh, we're in a recession, this and that, and the whole market could take a hit because of that. So as a result of all of these things, I do see the overall market collectively taking a hit. All right. So I do think that's very likely. Now, do I think it's going to happen immediately tomorrow? The answer is I don't think it's going to be that bad tomorrow. I think it's likely going to get worse next week. But what I'm trying to say is when the whole market, if it does start tanking, NIO is going to be dragged down with it. So when it comes to NIO, let me now switch the chart onto NIO. This is what's very, very interesting about it. We have been respecting this downward trend, this channel right over here. I drew this out for you previously, and it does look like we might actually touch the top here one last time before a big rejection and we start dropping pretty hard. Now, why do I think NIO is set for a little bit of downside? Max pain is at $20, and this is where the market makers that manipulate a lot of stock prices and price action of many, many institutions, they do this because this is where they want NIO to close, and that's $20 flat. So tomorrow might be kind of a somewhat red day. It may not be the best day, but a little bit red. But then the next upcoming days after, that's when I do anticipate even more downside for the overall market, and NIO is going to be kind of anchored down with it. It's not necessarily NIO's fault. NIO is a great company. It's fantastic. When the whole market drops, though, Tesla will drop, Netflix drops, GME drops, SoFi drops, Redbox drops, so does NIO. All right? That's the uncomfortable truth about how the market works. I mean, that's how I see this going out. So for me to draw this out for you, just to make this simple, tomorrow, the SPY has room for a bit of a push-up. I would anticipate this kind of move from NIO. It's open. If we don't start dropping from the beginning, we might slowly actually push up to where this like top point is. And after that, I see a rejection. I do see this thing slowly approaching the 20 mark. We might actually drop a little below it, kind of like this. And I do anticipate a bit of a red day. We could bounce off of it, maybe like hold these low levels. So that's kind of like what I see happening for tomorrow for NIO. And I do anticipate a red Friday going forward, closing around $20 or somewhere within that range. So just to draw this out, I mean, I know I didn't capture this perfectly, but I'm sure you guys get my point from this point. I am anticipating some downside for the markets. Do I think it's going to last forever? No, I don't think it's going to last forever. In fact, I'm going to make another video where I actually break down why I think that once we see the downside for the markets, once the SPY fills these gaps right here, perhaps for next week, the week after, which is like as we approach August, we might still see some more very bullish price action as well for the markets afterwards. So I'm anticipating maybe like the market pushing up, filling the gap around, like the SPY fills its gap up here. Then we drop down for 1 week very hard. Then we get a nice balance and we start seeing some relief in August. So that's essentially how I'm seeing it. Last week of July, I'm pretty bearish for that week, but first week of August, I do think we're going to see some bullish price action. So I know it's a little bit, that's kind of like a lot to take in, but this is what I see NIO doing. I do anticipate some downside for tomorrow. I think we're going to close a little bit in the red, close to $20. It could be a little bit lower. It doesn't necessarily matter. It's going to be around 20 most likely in my opinion. But I want to remind you guys that, look, it's not the end of the world. All right. I know it's hard for some of you to hear this, but it's not the end of the world because NIO is still a great company. If you look at what they put on their Twitter page, from fresh to flash, feel free reign like never before with the NIO EC6. Once again, an absolutely beautiful vehicle. I'm super excited for what on earth is also going forward for the company. They have some amazing things coming. So when you look at their expansion, how they're improving their finances, their deliveries, their AI technology, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's an amazing company. The long-term future is very, very bright. All right. I see this thing going to hundreds of dollars a share. Short-term, with the overall market, I do anticipate some downside coming, like I've been telling you guys. So like I said before, I'm not giving financial advice, by the way. I want to thank you all for listening. Please have a fantastic rest of the day. I can also do a little bit of a technical analysis of this too, if you want even more details. This whole thing kind of looks like a trap. And in addition to it, you can see from the RSI, it's also dropping with it. So we're not seeing bullish divergence. And as far as the EMAs go, let me actually use the 2-hour candles for this one because I like to use that. There's a downtrend here. And I didn't see a 1348. I think this is a 1348 EMA crossover to the downside, and we've been kind of respecting this downtrend. On the daily, however, we haven't seen that 1348 EMA crossover yet, which shows NIO may not drop insanely hard. We're not going to like crash down to $11. I don't see that as of right now. So far, it looks like it's going to maybe get stopped around like 18, maybe hold that range. So that's essentially what I'm seeing based off these indicators. The last thing I want to look at is the Bollinger Bands. Let me see if we can see something from here. The Bollinger Bands, they've gotten a little bit tight. Typically, they're less tight than this. They've gotten a little bit tight like right here. So typically when you see them get kind of tight like this, you might see a big move in either direction. It might be the downside. All right, we might see a big move to like that 19 range pretty quickly. So I just wanted to put that out there. But with that said and done, that's essentially what I'm seeing. Okay, for tomorrow specifically, we could see a bit of a push up around open, maybe the first 30 minutes. We might get rejected below 21. So maybe 20.8. Then we get a bit of a drop for the rest of the trading day, closing around 20 flat, a little bit in the red overall. That's what I'm seeing for NIO. That's my prediction for tomorrow. And even if that is not what ends up happening, I still anticipate a bit of a downside move for NIO. I still see this downward trend perpetuating. And I do think we're going to make it to the low 19s very soon based off that gap, based off the overall market, based off the FOMC meeting, and all the things out there that are going to dictate the price of this stock. That's what I have for this one. Thank you for listening. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon, and peace out.